shorty, I'm about money, I'm with a single. Slide on me and bring that down.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Levels with Leela. I wanted to start off with just letting you guys know where I'm at, and I do apologize for kind of getting these videos out a little later than anticipated. And right now, I'm just trying to figure out my schedule and trying to figure out how I can do all of these things at once. So I do have like 3 jobs, and yeah, I'm just trying to get in the groove of things, trying to figure out how I'm going to make this work because I don't want to I don't want to put this on a back burner. I do appreciate you guys' patience, and I appreciate you guys for just rocking with me still, during this. Today I wanted to talk about my hockey experience. I want to talk about this because hockey really did have such a huge impact on me and my life and the way I view things. I learned a bunch of different things. I got to experience a lot of different things that I don't think I would have experienced if I didn't play hockey. However, I think it exposed me to a lot of real world aspects at an earlier age. As you guys all know, hockey is a predominantly white sport, and so me being brown and a Samoan woman, playing hockey was very abnormal. I was like an outlier. Just to kind of bring it all the way back on how it started, I I initially played hockey because I used to go over to my cousin's house, and we all, I used to play with them all the time, and they played hockey. And because they played hockey, my auntie and uncle just decided to put me in hockey too because I was going to their practices anyways. Shout out to the Toasties, Auntie T, Uncle Lau, Ma'o Trini, Lowly, Layla. Like, this family really had an impact on me because I really feel like I'm indebted to them in a good way. Like, I started hockey because of them. And in playing hockey, I actually was able to get a full ride Division I scholarship to go play college hockey. After that, I could have played after, but I decided not to. There was a whole thing going on with how much professional women's ice hockey players were getting paid, and like the lockout and stuff like that. And I think for me, there's an option for me to go play like for the NWHL or the PWHL. And I think it was a little sticky, and I think I just didn't want to go to one league because another league was standing for like women's rights. But I was offered to go play in the NWHL. And so I decided not to take it because women's ice hockey at the time wasn't getting paid a lot. It was very little, and I would have still had to have worked a full-time job. And the whole point of going professional is to not work. Is to play and get paid playing a sport that you love. I say that because I made something out of it. Like, I was able to go to school for free, and I graduated with 2 bachelor's degrees. And to the Toasties, if you guys are watching this, you guys really have my heart for real. I tell my auntie all the time, and I'm just forever grateful for them. But started off playing hockey with my cousin Lowly, and then as we kind of got older, I did end up playing for an all boys team and a girls team. So I still played with Lowly on the boys team, and then I played on another girls team. I had to go play for a girls team eventually because as we start to get older and we start going on these showcases and going to tournaments, you can't be going to a boys tournament out of state because those coaches and scouts, they're not recruiting girls, they're recruiting boys. And so, I had to play for the girls team so that way, when we do go out to these showcases and tournaments, colleges and scouts, they're recruiting girls. In middle school, I used to do these 6 a.m. clinics before school, and it was like small group one-on-one sessions with a coach. And we would split the ice with somebody else, and they would be doing the same thing on the other side. And a lot of times at the end of the session, we would always play like small games and scrimmage against each other just to make it fun for us. And one of the coaches, actually on the other side, he was the head coach for the East High School boys varsity team. And I remember a time at one of those skill sessions, he came over to me, and we're making small talk, and he's asking me what school I was going to for high school. I told him East, and he goes, "Do me a favor, try out." I'm sitting here like me? Yeah, and I was like, "Yeah, okay." And then of course, when I got off the ice and we were heading to school, my mom asked me like what we were talking about because she saw that we were talking, and I told her, I was like, "Oh, nothing. He just told me to try out for the boys team next year." And she like was like, "Oh my god." And then I told her, but I don't want to, because honestly, I was scared shitless. Like, as much as I want to play with the big dogs, I did not want to play with the big dogs just because I was just scared. Um, they're boys, they're bigger, they're faster and stronger. So I don't know. I definitely was intimidated. And, she's like, oh no, you're trying out. You're trying out. So when I did go to high school, I was hoping my mom forgot, but she didn't. And then I ended up trying out for the team and I made it. I got to play with my cousin Ma'o and Tarini my freshman year, and then sophomore year I played with Tarini, and then my junior year I actually ended up trying out for the girls team, and I just played for the girls team just for 1 year, and then my senior year I went back to the boys varsity team and played with Lowley. So it was like a full circle moment for me because I was able to start with them and then end it right before I went to college with them. So shout out to y'all. I love y'all Toasies. You guys already know. And fun fact, actually, when I had to eventually like part ways with Lowley and play for a different team, I actually took his number and he was number 4. And then I rode with number 4 all the way up as much as I could. I think like there were some times I couldn't get number 4 because somebody else had it. But if number 4 was available, I always stuck with that number. And the best thing was when I went to college, I was able to get number 4, and then I was number 4 for my whole college career. And so that was pretty cool. And number 4 is our number just because that's just what it is. We all were number 4 too. And while I was playing for the boys varsity ice hockey team at East, I also played for the varsity girls basketball team. And then I played for a comp team outside of high school. And so I was just a busy girl all the time growing up. And basketball was actually my first sport that I ever played. And I was like 8 years old, played all the way up into high school. I actually tried to play in college, but because at the time only hockey at Merrimack College was Division 1, and then the rest of the sports were Division 2. I played for the girls basketball team there. It'd be sticky because they both are in the same season. And when I did ask my coach, my hockey coach, if I could, she just kind of was like, might not be a good idea just because I do have to prioritize hockey. So how much can I really be there for the basketball team? I don't know. And so I just decided not to try out. I decided not to do it. I kind of wish I did just to see if I could have made the team, but it's okay. So growing up playing hockey, I lived a different life than the rest of my siblings. I was always busy, going from practice to practice to games to game. Got to experience a lot of different things that a lot of my siblings didn't. I just, and so all around, I got to experience more things at a younger age. I think it also exposed me to a lot of negative things at an earlier age. No, I was always cranky, hungry, and tired, like maybe 90-95% of the time. And I remember I used to really take my anger out on my siblings. I just used to get mad seeing them because I'm like, guess what? I have to go to my next practice. It's not their fault, but I did take out my anger out on them a lot, and they could probably attest to that. I used to be such a huge bitch to them. I'm not gonna lie. Hockey all around was a great experience. I wouldn't regret anything. I think I learned a lot of different things. I definitely grew a lot from the experiences that hockey had put me through, especially in college. I definitely want to do a different video on my college experience just because there was these pivotal moments that really changed my life, that changed my perspective, and growth it was a growth period where I was at my lowest and I had to pull through. And I did. It's a lot and I don't want to miss anything in this, and if I do it in this video, it's going to be like 3 hours. As far as like pivotal moments growing up until high school, I would say it was when I made national camp. Um, it also was those times when I did experience racism, and I think because it allowed me to see the real world for what it is and how I have to navigate through this to not confirm anyone's maybe stereotype or stigmas against me. And so I feel like I always had a lot to prove growing up. Me just being a brown person playing hockey in general, Me being a Samoan woman to represent the culture for us, um, me being able to juggle all these different sports because when I played for two different varsity teams, it's a commitment that you have to be able to play at that level when you're in high school. And then, and trying to like earn your spot to continue to play, things like that. I would have to miss practices. There's times I missed games or like half games, things like that. And then when I played for the boys varsity team, I just felt like I had to prove myself that I'm a girl coming in to play with the boys. And so I'm going to have to learn how to take a hit. I'm going to have to be faster, think quicker, and be able to just stand my ground and not let anybody kind of bully me. Because there were times where guys on the other teams would headhunt me because I'm a girl. And so I remember the time I passed the puck off, didn't even have the puck around me, and somebody still was getting full speed at me just to lay me out. I did get laid out one time by the biggest guy on Diamond High School. That was the first time I actually experienced a concussion. When I got hit, like I got the wind knocked out of me, couldn't breathe. I I was like kind of like seeing blotches. Ugh. I was kind of seeing blotches, and I remember I couldn't hear anything but this ringing sound, and it was ringing for like a good couple minutes. I got off the ice, sat on that bench, and I kept like trying to wake myself out, or I kept trying to like bring myself back, and I didn't say anything to anyone. I did have a coach come check on me, but I was like, no, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. I wasn't trying to look weak to anyone, not my coaches, not the boys on my team, and not the boys on the other team. And also, too, hockey is a very expensive sport. And so the time and effort that my parents had put into me, even my family just supporting me, these donors and these sponsorships that I had got, um, that invested in me, you know, the biggest thing was for my parents. Like I felt like I had to make something out of this because you guys put too much money into me too. Growing up, we didn't come for money. And so to be able to play ice hockey, an expensive sport, I was like, I gotta make this worth it. I gotta bring something home to show for it. And then me going to college and graduating with 2 bachelor's degrees, that was like the icing on the cake. Everyone else, all I ever wanted to do was like make my parents proud. And now my next task is to take care of my parents. And I'm on the road to riches to make that happen. And I'm gonna make it happen to where they don't have to pay any more bills. So, and it's coming soon, mom and dad, because I know y'all are watching this. At one point, I actually was gonna go to a prep school for my sophomore year in Connecticut, but when it came down to it, they asked if I could reclass, and I didn't want to reclass. There was another time where for high school, I think I was actually going to go and live with my coach at the time because she knows what it takes to get to the next level, and she had 2 daughters that actually went to go play Division 1 ice hockey already, and one went to a school out in Boston, and another one was out in Minnesota. And so it was a good strength and conditioning coach. She was a great like nutritionist. She knew what she was doing, and so it was really about getting me in the right environment to lock in and to help me get my body right, get my mind right. I think I didn't know how I was gonna feel. I'm not gonna lie. I would have had to went to service high school. I don't know. It's just not me, and it wasn't giving for me. East is a very diverse high school. We're actually one of the most diverse high schools in the nation, actually, and you'd be surprised because nobody ever thinks that anybody who's outside, who doesn't live in Alaska or isn't from Alaska, you guys wouldn't even understand how actual diverse it is in Alaska. But I didn't end up going. I didn't end up doing that. Either one. I did have a lot of coaches support me and believe in me that I could make it to the next level. And so, I had to do things like reach out to college coaches, obviously per NCAA rules when I was able to. But I got to go to these tournaments and showcases. I traveled a lot as a kid. On the other hand, I missed a lot of family celebrations. I feel that when it came down to like birthday parties and sleepovers and things like that, I couldn't go because I always had practice early in the morning or I had a game early in the morning. And so a lot of times I was home. I didn't watch a lot of TV growing up because It was always school, practice, 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 or school, practice, practice, game. It was like in that order. If I had on the weekends, obviously like Friday, Saturdays, it was just, well, Friday would be like school, game, game. Saturday would be like game, game, whether that was a hockey game or a basketball game. Most games I actually played in a day was 5. This was like during, I want to say, summer basketball. Yeah, there was a time in the summer I was playing in a summer league, and then in and then for hockey, it was also kind of like the same. I had 3 basketball games in one day. It's like one of those like tournament league type of thing. You could have 2 to 3 games in a day, whatever. But um, I played 3 basketball games and I had 2 hockey games. That day was the most I felt like drained, or that was the most games I played in a day, and I was so exhausted by the end of the day. I was hungry. That's another thing. I was always on the go, that when I would eat, I would have to scarf my food down because I'm trying to get to the next practice or game. So I just feel like I never had a lot of time in general to do anything else besides play sports. And so that's all I really did. The times that I was free, I would just want to be with my family. I want to be with my cousins. A lot of times we grew up playing at the park. And so it was always, oh, I'm going there too. Even if I had games and practices, if I could right after, I'm trying to go where they are at. Some of the things I got to experience was like tour the White House. I got to see the Niagara Falls from the American side and the Canadian side. I got to go out of the country for the first time. I went to Canada. I got to travel to a bunch of different states. I got to see the Alcatraz. We didn't get to go on the island, but we got to go around it, which I thought was still pretty cool because I love things like that. I love history. Got to go to a bunch of NHL games. I got to actually watch their practices as well. I got to experience my first concert ever, which was a country concert. I got to meet Olympians. One of my coaches when I was younger, her name was Pam Dreyer, actually, and she lives in Alaska, I believe. I don't know if she moved, but she was on Team USA too, and she was like a bronze medalist. And then my defensive coach in college, my freshman year, she was the captain for Team USA for the women's ice hockey team. So that was pretty cool. We got to meet her teammates. She actually had a couple teammates come skate with us, like the top female ice hockey players, Hillary Knight, Brianna Decker, Casey Bellamy. Like, we got to practice with them. And honestly, for me, it was like, oh my God. For me, when they did practice with us, I think they maybe like once or twice, but it was just like we were just such in awe, like, because oh my God, we're playing with the top female ice hockey players. I actually got to play against some of them in college, which is so cool. Kendra Coyne, you guys know her, fastest freaking ice hockey player, I swear to you. And she was actually in, I think, the All-Star games for hockey one year. We got to actually go to some professional women's ice hockey games. That was pretty cool. I have a lot of college hockey teammates who actually played at the next level, whether that was here in the States or overseas. Last year, I went to a PWHL game. That's the women's professional ice hockey league here in the States. And I got to go see my old hockey teammate play. And, she has some Olympians on that team. Got to meet the Team Canada's captain, Pauline. Like, it's a game. That's the women's professional ice hockey league here in the States. And I got to go see my old hockey teammate play. And, she has some Olympians on that team. All those different things. It was such a great experience. Bear with me as I try to figure out and manage my schedule a little bit better, but I'm going to make it happen, and I'm going to really push to keep putting out a video every week. If you like this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening, and stay tuned for the next episode. Love y'all.
Walk one, steady pushing for my purpose. Want that.